program, and it is time for you to change your game. But first you have to change your mind. Good morning, we are starting Game Changers Life. Welcome to our program, and it is time for you to change your game. But first you have to change your mind. In our mind, we have the ability to be negative or positive, to think in a successful way, or to think in a way that failures think. It's not possible, I'm not going to be able to make it. Or you can really transform your life by transforming the way you think. That's always like this. You have to understand, yes, we're going to pray, we're going to talk to God, God is powerful, God is great, but He is limited to each and every one of us. If I decide to put my faith in action, then He is going to manifest His power in our lives. I want to speak to you who are watching us from anywhere in Africa, and you are there, depressed, you are sad. Somehow you believe in God. You know that God is somewhere, that He is alive. But for some reason, you think that His promises are not for you. And that's a big mistake. There is something going on inside your mind which is bringing a lot of confusion. That's why I want to invite you to join us this coming Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning, right there in the holy ground. You're going to be seated amongst these people. And there in the holy ground, you are going to be able to find life. You are going to be able to find transformation. You are going to be able to change your game by changing the way you think. Remember, God has the power to transform your life, but you have to put your mind, your willingness into action. Because after all, what God promised cannot be canceled by the problems that you are facing. He has the power to bring light into your life, but you need to believe His promises. You do that, and definitely you are going to be able to change your game.
The depression started when I was going through hardships with my husband, when my husband was beating me. I had to go to work with some bruises, and he was very clever because he was doing it on my body. No one would see the scars. The beating together with my children going through without food, that was too much for me to handle. I reached a stage where I couldn't cope anymore. My husband, in front of people, he would be this sweet, kind person, but immediately now the people are not there, he would turn into an animal. But it was too much. I can't hide it anymore.
So South Africa as a country has a history of violence. Going back to the apartheid time when, violence was normalized, because at that time people were being violent in fighting for their freedom. So they used whatever means of getting their voices heard, but also of getting the attention of the state. And in the homes, the same kind of violence that we were seeing in the streets was also being experienced, where women particularly were being abused by the men who were frustrated out there by whatever their frustrations were. They would come into the home and, we would see a lot of intimate partner violence, which is still the case today.
You really die inside. He would beat me at night, in the morning take me to the doctor, and also take a sick leave and tell the doctor that I was not home. I have traveled because of the church. I was out of the province, and coming back, I find that the house, they have buckled into my house and they've hurt my wife. I'm happy that they did not rape her, but just look at the scars on the body, and then it showed the doctor. You know, a supportive husband.
If you look at statistics, it tells us that the most violence that happens, or gender-based violence that happens, is intimate partner violence, IPV. So that has a lot of effects in terms of the mental, the physical, and the emotional state of women. And I say women because as much as it happens, it's gender-based violence, so it happens to everyone. Women are disproportionately affected by this. You know, it affects their cognition, their physiology, you know, how they relate to other people, how they relate with themselves, you know. So it has all these negative impacts on the self.
I had so many voices which were just too much in my head. I tried to make sense from what are these voices saying. I couldn't make sense. I cried, then I broke down, because from there I could not remember actually what happened. I wish I can remember. Somebody can narrate to me that from that time until you were hospitalized, this is what happened. And then they took me to hospital, and then doctor gave me some antidepressants. I went into a deep sleep because I didn't know what they gave me. And then I was diagnosed with depression. The symptoms which I had, I wanted to go into, you know what, into a deep sea, maybe just drown myself and not wake up. That was the feeling which I was having. That feeling of, you know, I would sleep and not wake up, or I would go inside the water and drown myself and not come back to the situation. And it went on for some time. I had sleepless nights. If I remember well, when I broke down, it seems I had something like a week of not sleeping.
Depression has become, we could say, even a pandemic in our country. And in Black communities, I want to believe it's something, one, we don't talk openly about. It's something that is pretty much stigmatized. So people shy away from really reaching out and getting help because of the stigma and because of how it is misunderstood. In fact, in most instances, people who are depressed are considered to be crazy. You know, it's seen as craziness, the mood swings. It's just something that people don't want to be associated with. And we see that it's on the rise because it's not addressed in a manner that it should be addressed.
The signs of depression were there, but I didn't have guts to seek medical treatment. There is a social stigma against depression. You are being labeled as a mental case. Whenever a person with depression is angry, they will say, she's acting out because she is a mental case, this one. That happened to me because friends who came to visit me in the hospital, they also told them at work that I'm diagnosed with depression. There was this senior at work who would call me names, you know. There's a Xhosa name of a mental person, they call it Igeza. He will say, I know Igeza. I was hurt, deeply hurt, deeply hurt. I can't explain how. And always when I meet her, I meet this particular supervisor with a smile. Hey, how are you? And then she will say, hey, here is this person who is mad. And it was following me because she was a senior person. It has an influence to the people who are lower in her category to also call me that.
Stigma is is a real thing. Because remember, no one really wants people, one, to know that they are not doing well. We all want to put this facade to say we are coping with life. And so when people now take what you are going through and use it against you, it really also deals with the self, right? But also in the Black community, I think I said that earlier, mental health, depression, we don't really, and maybe we are getting there, but it's something that it's never spoken about. And two, people then call it something else because we don't have a name for it in Vernac. When people want to explain that somebody is depressed, they say it's not going well upstairs. In white communities, because they have the words for it, the language for it, it's easy to understand what it is. But in the Black communities, we still don't have the language for it. And so the interpretation becomes a different thing from what exactly the person is suffering from. And the language is important because it will be easier for people to say it's depression, and we will know, okay, depression can be caused by many things. But when it's now associated with being crazy, who wants to be called crazy? So you stay away from even talking about your diagnosis.
He stopped the beating, but there was no financial support. You continue with it. It was also a form of abuse because for him not to support me financially, it was also putting strain on me. I did not speak about the abuse because there's a stigma to be in an abusive relationship. People will say, call you names, and also, you want to be in this wonderful marriage which is displayed on the TV, and with you it doesn't happen. With flowers and chocolates and what, doesn't happen with you. With you it's just scope and donor. That's what you get every day. To be in an abusive relationship does affect the children negatively because my daughter hated his dad so much. He said, there are times when Papa is such a good person. I don't know what gets into him to be such an animal at times. I said, I agree with you. He is a good man. But at times we don't know what is happening with him to abuse us like this. The suicidal thoughts were there, but the thoughts, as they came, I look at my children and I said, no, this must not happen. It will come so strong that if I can just go and buy maybe yogurt and mix yogurt and give to my 3 children and then also to myself, and then we die, we rest. I was thinking of putting poison my children, but I said, no, it's not fair. They must also live their life. I said, what else should I do? Because I can't to see them starving.
You can imagine a child growing up witnessing this violence that is happening all over. In the street there's violence, in the home there's violence. It affects how they relate, one, with others. Two, how they see themselves. Because most children in homes where abuse happens sometimes blame themselves. I can't protect my mother. Maybe it's my fault that my parents are fighting. So they take that guilt and how it manifests in how they relate with other children. It's sometimes they become bullies, or sometimes they allow themselves to be bullied because they see, in a home that the mother takes the beating. So to them it says, when you are being abused, you must accept it. It's a behavior that you must accept. It's a norm. It's normalized. They also suffer from post-traumatic stress disorders. Panic attacks, not trusting people, some behaviors that are, like risky, some risk with sex itself, so they become promiscuous, sleeping with anyone and everyone, and drug abuse, alcohol abuse, experimenting with all these things, and sometimes as a attention-seeking mechanism to say, I'm crying out for help. But when help is not availed, this becomes now a habit, a behavior, and it follows them, as you say, into adulthood.
I was on antidepressants, which were also helpful to me. And then I was going through therapy. And actually, the depression came at the moment when I joined Universal. So it was easy for me to go and sit down with the pastor and also go through. When I was post-discharge, my daughter took me to church, and then pastor prayed for me, prayed also for the medication, and then she said to me, don't worry, God is there. God will take care of you. And, you know, if you want to talk at any time, we are available. Come and talk to us.
Depression and anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorders and all the other associated mental health issues, you know, can be addressed if we are proactive. But because we make issues single issues, we are not able to address everything holistically. Hence, I was talking about the school not just looking at education, but incorporating mental health support. You know, clinics not just looking at giving pills for the headache or for an STI or for whatever, but also incorporating in there some support for mental health. And churches also playing their role in providing that space for people to just come and talk about what they've gone through and being given the support that is not judgmental and, you know, that is not making you feel like you deserved what happened to you.
Don't go through pain alone. You need to hear that. You need to go and tell people whom you trust, people who are not going to call you names. People are going to take you as a human being who is going through trauma, which will pass. I went for therapy with my clinical psychologist. I was taking antidepressants, but I felt that I needed something more. I needed to somebody, you know, I needed somebody to pray for me, somebody to tell me that there are high powers which can help you. There is somebody who can take away all your problems, and you go to Jesus with whatever you are having. As you are now, go to Jesus and He will wipe away all your tears. The counseling which I had with Pastor said that you cannot come once. Make sure that you take the chains of prayer. Maybe take 7 Fridays to not to break it. Let us pray, ask God to deliver you from this situation. One thing which has made me to remain in the Universal Church is that I can speak to the pastor at any day. I don't need to make an appointment. The pastor will counsel me. The pastor will pray for me. The pastor will listen to me. I was saying to myself every morning, Nonhlanhla, you are healed. You are the child of God. You are the most loved daughter of God. I was looking at the mirror at myself as I woke up, preparing myself to go to work, and I would just sing to the Lord and also give praises. The Spirit of God is there as your counselor. One thing which I was advised by Pastor is that, Nonhlanhla, you need to forgive all those people who had said bad things against you. It was not easy to forgive my husband, but for me, there was this thing of saying, how many times did I wrong God? how many times did you wrong God, Nonhlanhla? From the day, just reflect back, how many times did you do wrong things in your life? And then if God can forgive you and embrace you, why can't you do it with your husband? And then I forgave him. Now Nonhlanhla is a woman of God. The pain is gone. The anger is gone. The depression is gone. I sleep peacefully. It's important for you to forgive and ask God to forgive you. I've learned to forgive myself that I'm not a perfect being. I am a woman with scars. And for me to look at myself and see all the negative, I'm not doing myself a favor. I need to see myself as the mirror. We won't be the same. Even our physique, we are unique in our own ways. I need to look at myself and appreciate who I am and love who I see in the mirror. And also thank God that all the days of my life I live trusting God. Pain is gone. I don't have depression anymore because I have changed my game.
Pina said something very interesting about depression, that there are cultures where they don't have words for everything, which is, of course, always easier when you can explain what you're feeling, what is going on in you. But even if you don't know how to describe what you're feeling, I am sure that you will know the difference between being strong as opposed to being weak. You know the difference between feeling down, no motivation at all, and being here at the top, excited, happy, blessed. I know, I'm sure you know about that. And if you are not here, excited, instead you are down there, that means something's wrong inside of you. Your ability to trust, your ability to believe in God is compromised. And what we have to do now is to change, to take you from the bottom and bring you here at the top, and bring your problems like down below. Only God can do that. Is it impossible? Of course not. Do you deserve such transformation in your life? It's not about deserving. It's about using your faith to trust in God. And if you do that with all your heart, with all your faith, I am sure that your life is going to change. Therefore, stop living this life of depression and sadness. Maybe your relationship is that one kind of arguments all the time and fights all the time. You don't have to live like that. You can change your game.
My husband abandoned me, and with my 3 children. That is where my depression started.
The depression started when I was abandoned by my husband.
I see myself being alone, no one to help me to support these kids, and I'm not working. I decided to come here in Johannesburg to look for a job. And even there, it was not easy for me because I looked for a job for about 6 months. I decided to stay on the street, to be a street vendor, so that I can manage to raise these kids. I was so depressed, man. In that depression, I even go to the hospital, and the doctor gave me medication for depression.
And then my husband started to cheat on me, and then he get another girlfriend, and that girlfriend He was not staying here around, he was staying in Durban. He used to call me that your husband is gonna leave you and you are going to die because you are HIV. I'm going to take your husband. Even your house is gonna be repossessed.
Abandonment in intimate partner relationships, in marriages, and with adult women. One thing that marriage is sold as to the average adult woman is this institution where you're safe, you're protected, and you will not be belittled. It has social currency. So when you're married and you've built your life around this individual, your family, around this notion, and then you wake up one day and that notion is no longer there, it is going to create an immediate sense of mistrust. Not just in the person who's abandoned you, but in you. Because how did I not see it coming? What does this now mean for me? What did I do wrong?
My life at that time was so bad. Every day I was thinking that my life can be ended at that situation. But when I look at my kids, it feels like, no, I have to insist to make my children to grow up like other kids.
He used to rebuke me that, no, I don't have a girlfriend, you're just lying, become angry. He doesn't want to hear anything. So I used to cry every day. I started to drink now every day. I will drink every day, coming back home drunk. I saw that it is better because I cannot feel anything. Even if he is here or he doesn't come home, I don't care because I know that I'm drunk, I don't hear anything. Sometimes I can't even take care of my kids, I can't even cook for them. I will just go to the bed and sleep. He was rejecting me because even to give me money, he was no longer giving me the money for me to buy the kids, even the clothes. He was no longer buying the clothes for the children. He will say, I don't have money, and he tell me that your kids will suffer because of you, the way you are. Because now I was drinking, even in front of here, I will leave him here and then I'll go to the shipping.
It's really, really traumatic to process. It's a shock. Even in instances where couples were having relationship problems, until someone actually says, I want out, or I want to divorce, or I'm moving out. You build your life around the security and the complacency that comes with repetitiveness and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it is a form of abuse in the sense that a lot of the times when people abandon their families, they abandon the responsibilities that come with them. So we cannot criminalize falling out of love, okay? You're allowed to do that, but you as an adult, one, there's a social contract that we all deal with, but secondly, there are basic things that you do to let the other person know that this is not working for me. It allows them to plan. It allows them to create contingencies. So a lot of times when people abandon their families, they abandon the responsibilities that come with it as well. The exception where it now becomes abuse is that you cannot withhold money, you cannot not maintain your children or pay your spousal support because you're no longer in love with the person and you no longer want to live with the person. There it becomes abuse. So falling out of love is not abuse. Moving out of the home is not abuse. Waking up tomorrow and abandoning people that you have a legal responsibility for, that's a problem.
I was not alone being depressed. Even my kids, they were depressed, especially the last born, because my last born didn't know the father. She was still young when we separated. So now she was depressed. When I go to bed, I always crying. And I was hiding so that my children cannot see me. In the morning, when I'm supposed to wake up to go and sit in the street again for them, it was very, very difficult even then. I was so being down. Even then, when I'm there on the street, the people were talking to me. To me, I feel like they can't even talk to me, but because I was working, there is nothing I can do.
my daughter, she used to be sick, I will take her to the clinic. At the clinic, they said it is a headache because also she was also getting that depressed. She was depressed because there is a doctor who said she has a depression.
When my mom was depressed, it was very difficult at home. So there were times when she would come back home late and we would have to, I felt like I was also a mother to my little brother because she was mainly absent throughout the day and she would come back drunk and then go to sleep and then wake up the next morning, we would go to school. When we come back, we don't find her. I also started to suffer from depression. I would constantly feel like I'm alone in this world. My parents are not supportive. They're not taking care of us as they are supposed to be as parents. So depression also hit the knot for me. My little brother was bullied and we went to the same school, so I would mostly stand up for him. We would have it as if it's just me and him because our parents are out of the place. My dad was cheating, my mother had depression and alcohol addiction, so we just felt like we had to have each other. We had each other's back, even emotionally. When he would cry seeing my mother in the state that she was in, I would be there for him and be strong for him. And I would constantly cry myself to bed because I would also close myself in my room and then cry in order for him not to see me in the state that I was in.
When dad leaves the home and leaves mom, mom is depressed and she's stressed and she's drinking, and the children are left. You've got one parent who stayed, but they aren't in the best of state. So children generally feel like no one cares, we're on our own. I think that's maybe the crudest way to put it, but children are left to feel like they're on their own. Dad abandoned us, and mom could not be bothered because children do not interpret things the way we interpret it. Children will feel like no one could be bothered to parent us. And in order to avoid that type of situation, you have to give support to the mother in this regard and give support to the children to say, Mommy is actually depressed.
My worst moment, it is when there are people who used to call me, you're drunker, even to my young son. They used to say, your mother, she's a drunkard. It is when now I can see that this thing is, it is putting my children in shame now because they are humiliated because of my drunkard. I even decided to kill myself. That is better for me to die because I don't know where I live. I buy the pyramid scheme, begin pyramid for the rats. Is this thing of the rats, killing the rats. I buy that a chemical. So I take also the tablets. There are many tablets. I was put it in my hand. There was no one in the house. The children, they were at school. I was alone, but I never drank it. There is a voice came to me that don't do it. So I think for my children, because I know that when I die already, the lady will come in my house and she will never treat my children as I treated them. And she will never do things for my kids as I'm doing for them.
When we as parents find ourselves with substance abuse problems, when we find ourselves with depression, one thing that will always do is have a knock-on effect, number one, on our children, but number two, on their willingness to show where they come from. It creates a great sense of shame in a child when someone is drunk all the time, or comes to school drunk, or picks them up drunk. It's a real knock on the self-esteem because it's something you have no control over. You cannot control whether or not your mom's depressed. You cannot control whether or not your mom drinks. It also speaks to a home environment that you are not allowed to discuss. It's shouted out for you. So if you have an alcoholic parent, but they never come to the school, no one even knows them, then it's something you don't have to deal with.
The lowest point in my life when I saw my kids that They are growing, but I don't know their future in front of me, seeing my children that they are gonna be at school, be educated, and so on. And now I have to work on the street for the place to stay, for them to eat. Everything is, I feel that lowest. As I was on the street, the pastor passed away, passed on to going to the shop. And then he asked me, "Mommy, how are you?" I said, "I'm fine. Why can't you go inside and get a prayer?" I said to the pastor, "Okay, I will." When the pastor passed, I said, "Did the pastor think she can solve this problem that I'm in it? I don't think so." But pastor insists. Always when he came, he said, "Mama, please, God will help you." I said, "Pastor, I will come to the Universal Church." And then the pastor said, "Mama, sit down and watch and see. And then I will pray for you after the service." The pastor prayed for me. And then the second day I go. That is where I feel that there is this something that is relieved on my shoulders. I speak to the pastor about my problem. So the pastor said I must be engaged in chain of prayers, especially on Tuesday. They are praying for the sick people. So I started there on Tuesday, going to the church and pray.
I was going to shopping, so assistants invited me to come to the church. So I took the newspaper. The following day when I come, it is when I see that here my life can change. While I'm still in the church, I was still drinking, hearing even the pastor was preaching that to drink it is wrong, but I was not stopping drinking because of what I was happening in my life. When after the church, I will go back to the shipping, and then after I came home. But one day I took the decision that my Lord, now I don't want to do this anymore because I'm so humiliated. My children, they humiliated him because of my life. So now I want to change. Can you please give me the power? So it is when now I go back to the church. So it is when now I decided to leave everything. I said, now I go to church. So I went to the pastor's wife. I told her what is happening to me, to my marriage. And then I told her everything that is happening between me and my husband. So the pastor's wife said to me, just make a chain of prayer and then God will help you. Yes, and pray and forgive your husband. Don't have a grudge for him. I make the chain of prayer on Thursday and Friday for my deliverance, and Sunday I attend 10 o'clock. After that I attend a 1 o'clock service for addiction. So it is where now my life started to change. I will come even Monday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday and Sunday. So it is where my life started to change. I forgive my husband, and sometimes I will read the Bible, motivated my spiritual life to grow.
When I started to the chain of prayers, and I see that I'm relieved now, I started to have that faith that no, this is it. And my life started to change at that time. And even when I go to the doctors, they said, no depression anymore. I did forgive my husband, ma. And first I said to me, I will never forgive. But when I came to church, and then the pastor said, you must pray for your enemy, I started to have that forgiveness. And then when I go to the counseling, they told me, you have to put everything behind and move on with your life. That is where I started to forgive him. My daughter started to overcome the depression when he started to grow up and see that how life it is. That is where I see her relieving the depression. And he also go to the church with me.
with my situation with depression, I decided that I should change my life through that. I should get help in the Universal Church. So I was in the youth, and they were mentors that would speak to me and guide me in how I have to deal with the situation that I'm facing.
I ask God to forgive me about what I did, for everything that I've done to him, for the wrong that I've done to him, for him to forgive me, for him to heal me in this depression. Oh, now I'm free from depression. I thank God for healing me in depression. My family is blessed. Now we are happy in the house. Now my husband, he loves the kids. Now he loves me. I'm no longer having the depression. I even now is saving souls, evangelizing to those who have the same problem that I have before, that God can heal them from depression. Depression have cure. God can heal them as he healed me.
I've got no depression now because God is in my life. And I'm happy about that.
I am no longer having a depression because I changed my game.
Today I'm free from depression because I changed my game.
Would you like to have that smile as well? Would you like to change your game? It's possible. It was possible for them, and I am absolutely sure that it is possible for you as well. But remember that in their journey of healing and changing their game, they didn't do it on their own. And that's why we want to invite you to join us here in the Holy Ground. I am absolutely sure that your life is going to be impacted in a great way, because the moment you join us, the moment you participate, it's not a church service. It is a university where you are going to learn how to use your faith. You are going to learn how to put your faith into action. And I am sure, like 100%, that you won't get it wrong, because the moment we bring God in the equation, just as these people they have done, you are going to be able to transform your life, transform your marriage, transform your mind. Remember, if you change your mind, you are going to be able to change your life as well.
The problems in my life, I was so addicted to alcohol. I used to drink almost every day. Almost every day. I used to like to fight a lot. So now, that's how my life was. I was very aggressive. I was a security guard at that time, full-time as a permanent employee. I used to drink all the monies until maybe a salary used to take me almost 2 days, 3 days, then it was over, it was finished. At the time when I was drinking a lot, that time I had a woman whom I was staying with full-time. Then we had to quarrel a lot. There was no money in the house, no food in the house, and they had a child by that time. Then it was a problem. She was also working, but the money wasn't enough.
Not only was Robert not taking care of his girlfriend, he was also being unfaithful to her.
I used to take ladies from the nightclubs. When I was drunk by then, I used to take them to the house or maybe to a friend's place. Then it was a problem.
This lifestyle placed Robert's life in many dangerous situations.
It was in a nightclub. We were just drinking, then a fight broke out. I used to involve myself too much in fighting. A fight broke out. And unfortunately, the guy whom I was going with, they stabbed him. Then I was lucky enough to run away. I ran away, and then I called other friends, then they come. We helped this guy who was stabbed. Took him to hospital. It was so terrible.
Robert was fortunate enough not to get stabbed, but he wasn't always able to continue escaping other harrowing incidents.
I used to go to Alexander and drink. The worst moment was when I was coming from Alexander, coming to town. Then we had a fight with the taxi driver. Then he took a gun and wanted to shoot me. I realized when he took out the gun that no, this is worse. This is big. Then I had to tell this guy, other guy, to calm him down. Then he accepted. Then I apologized to him. Then it was over. Another time when I was drunk, I used to fight too much. I used not to care for anything. There was this thing, what's the problem with me? Because when I'm drunk, it's always, I'm fighting. It's always fights and all that. I decided, there was this thing which comes from me. I need some help. But I didn't know where to go to. There was this lady, Nombulelo, she's still in the church even now. She kept on calling me, why don't you come to church? Why don't you come? I can see your life is not okay. Why don't you come to church? She used to give me newspapers, used to read the newspaper. Then when I'm drunk, I used to forget about the invites and all that.
This was until an unfortunate event forced Robert to reconsider his life.
I used to travel at night. You see these taxis at night, they're not well organized. They're all taxis. Then we're traveling from Alex again. It was late at night. Then when we were coming to town, there was an accident. But fortunately enough, I wasn't hurt. There were some people who were hurt inside the taxi. So that was the other thing that made me think, man, this thing of drinking is not right for me. I must change. It was like, I was thinking, I'm going to die. But better I change. I'm going to die also. I was just like praying. You know, sometimes even though you don't go to church, you sometimes pray when you meet problems. When you are in trouble, you are telling yourself, let me just pray. I was just saying, my God, help me. Just help me. Because there were too many things. I was involved in many things.
After deciding he had to change, Robert remembered his colleague's invitation to the Universal Church.
But there's this day when I told myself, no man, let me go and see what's happening inside the church. I went to the church, and I was in the church the time when they were saying, you must pray hard, pray hard. Pray, forget about other things, pray hard. Forget about other things, focus on God. Then I saw myself saying, no man, there's something inside of me I've never felt before. But there's something. I felt so good. After the service, I felt there was this peace inside of me. I said, no man, let me just come tomorrow again. I came. I kept on coming. Yeah, I started to go to church more often, praying, asking God, change me. I started going to church always. Even in the house, even on the street when I was walking, I used to pray. Even when I walk in the street, I don't believe in other things that I'm going to get robbed and this and that. No. I always tell myself, God is with me. That's it. So I saw some change. Eventually, in a month's time, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking. I stopped smoking and drinking same day. Till today, I'm no more. I stopped. But now I'm a changed person. I've got peace in my heart. I'm a responsible man now. I'm responsible.
These days, Robert's not only responsible, but also successfully running his business and family life.
Even my kids, we separated with their mother, but unfortunately she passed away years ago. But I'm involved with them. They are grown up now. I've got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. They're grown up, they're working now. They always call me. They don't stay with me, but they call me. My relationship was restored.
Robert believes there is no other way to solve one's problems than to surrender your life to God.
My life is so good. I'm in networking now. The people that are drinking and going out with many women. There will be a time they will be tired. They will come to God. They will meet problems. Like I had problems. They will come to God. I don't think it will be possible to change my life without God. God was the solution to my problems, yes.
Before I came to church, I was sick. I was a slave of alcohol. I was unemployed. I was stressed because I didn't have a job or anything. I first started to drink beer, but it didn't do me well. I used to feel sick after taking beer. Then I went to ciders, but my favorite was spirits. I thought alcohol will make me happy, but it didn't make me happy at all. Instead, I got sick and my life got worse. I got sick, I think it's because of the alcohol. Then after the second one, I started feeling dizzy. I had shakes, I had shivers. I couldn't stand, I couldn't hold anything in my hands, everything fell. So they had to call an ambulance for me. And then when I came back, my sister, who was already an assistant then, said to me, this time, you have to give your life to God. There is nothing else in the world for you. You have to come to church. When I came to church, there was a woman of God. She said to me, just give God a chance and see what's going to happen with your life. I came, I was healed, I got a job. I never had the desire for alcohol, but I didn't stay long in the church because I saw people testifying. I bought a new car, I got an increase at work, I got promotion at work, and I said to myself, what's here for me? There's nothing in the church for me. But there in the world, my life became worse. And then I said to myself, I did a very big mistake by leaving the house of God. When I came back, I heard the pastor saying, instead of asking for blessings, you must ask God to make you a blessing. And I said, what's this blessing? So I prayed. In the prayer, there was this happiness inside of me. There was this peace inside of me. There was this joy. I wanted to go and forgive all those who wronged me. I felt so different. So since then, I'm standing and I know nothing will take me out of the presence of God, nothing. I healed because the void that was inside of me that wanted me to drink, to have anger, to do this, all that was gone. I'm blessing to others because I'm able to tell people about God. I'm able to bring people, to take people from darkness into the light. So I am a blessing, in the house of God. God is using me to bless other people who are lost out there.
So what is the take here? How do you change your game? You have to know that for you to change your life, first of all, you have to change the way you think because both are inside you. The problem and the solution. If you change the way you think, how you focus, instead of looking at the problem, you look at the promise of God. I want to bring an example so that it can become very clear to everybody. For example, the book of Luke, chapter 18, verse 41. What is going on here? There's this man who is blind and he wants to see. Now he is shouting. He's asking for help. Jesus stops and says, okay, bring him here. And when he was there, Jesus asked him, what do you want me to do for you? He said, Lord, that I may receive my sight. Then Jesus said to him, receive your sight. Your faith has made you well. And immediately he received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. And all the people, all of them, when they saw it, they gave praise to God. Now, think with me. Jesus says to him, your faith has made you well. Please leave the verse there for me. Your faith has made you well. There. It's your faith. Thank you. Your faith has made you well. Meaning what? It wasn't Jesus who gave him, just went there and here, receive. He had to believe. If he had to believe, you have to believe too. I have to believe as well. Because God has power to remove from you depression, suicidal thoughts. Please leave the verse for me there. He has the power to transform your life. But Jesus said to him, receive your sight. In other words, he is saying, because you believe, then here it is, receive the sight. For your life to be transformed, you need to stop giving credit to the problem. And here you are. You have to give credit to the Word of God. Because if you believe his promises, what is going to happen to you? Your faith will connect with God, and your faith will bring upon your life the power of God. Clear? Very good. Now, I want you to get a glass of water. We are going to pray together. But on Sunday, you are going to pray with us here, the holy ground. You are going to join us this coming Sunday. We are going to have the freedom of our family, Freedom Day. Would you like to be free? Would you like to restore your sight and see happiness again, see transformation? Do you want to transform your life, your family? Don't stay home. Come, join us, because I am sure the power of God will come upon your life. Get a glass of water and let us pray. In the name of Jesus, my Father, I pray for the freedom of the families, marriages, housewives, wives and husbands, people who are out there being hostage of past traumas, overwhelmed by guilt. There's this word hammering in their mind. It's your fault. It's you. You did it. And now they don't know how to be free of it. They don't know how to overcome. Therefore, I pray and I ask, transform their lives. Let these people know how great you are. Let these people know that you are indeed the God of Abraham, of Isaac and Jacob, the creator of heaven and earth, the one who said, let there be light, and there was light. The same way that blind man received his sight, I pray that they trust your word and they are able to receive their sight as well. I bless this glass of water, and when they drink, may your spirit be with all of them. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and everybody say, Amen. I have faith and trust that God has blessed your life. Now, please look at me and understand something extremely important. If you want your life to change, you have to stop doubting. Don't doubt, because doubt will make you weak, will make you sink. God bless you all, and that's it for today. We came to the end of our Game Changers, but tomorrow we are going to be back 10 o'clock in the morning. God bless you. Bye-bye.
You could beat the world. You could beat the war. Do it for yourself. Do it for your children. Do it for your family. You can beat it. You can be a winner. You can move mountains. Starting now, Game Changers.